Welcome to Impulse. The number of food recalls in Europe and the United States rose again in 2023. Main cause number 1, microbiology, such as Listeria or Salmonella. According to the United Nations, 420,000 people still die every year from contaminated food. Changing this is also a task for the food industry. Can automation help here? And what do automation solutions need to look like to really benefit the industry? That's what I'm talking about with my guests today, starting with Johan van Niekerk. Johan, welcome and thanks for being here today.
Thank you, Philip.
So Johan, the food industry has always been an important industry for IFM. Now food safety has also become a big topic. How openly and transparently can you talk about this topic inside the industry?
I think the topic of food safety has been highlighted quite a lot over the last few years. But in reality, this has always been a topic, not just within IFM, but also with food producers. So I think the difference is that the platforms are being created where people can openly communicate and share their experiences on food safety, which is quite important if we want to learn from best practices.
In your opinion, what are the main reasons for continuously reassessing, rethinking this topic of food safety?
Yeah, so I think there's quite a few factors that plays a role in the reassessing or rethinking of food safety. I think firstly is you mentioned that bacteria is a living organism, which means it's continually developing. And in that case, it means that we will always have to rethink of how we are monitoring how the bacteria is growing. This is one of the portions. The second portion, of course, is that people's immune system changes. And this is why we need to monitor it continuously as well. And I think the third and very important one is that consumer behavior is changing, which means products are being developed, new types of foods are being developed, which in turn means that the whole process needs to change. And every time you change the process, it means that you need to evaluate and monitor what impact your changes has had on the process.
Okay. So today's topic is more or less the production part, the wet production. How can automation solutions help here to improve safe processes?
So once again, automation has changed quite a lot over the last few years. I think the last 10 years we've seen a significant improvement, not just on the sensor side, automation side, but also the adaptability of our customers of implementing these solutions. So I think with new development, something like IO-Link, which became an enabler of digitalization, is quite very important because firstly, this allows us to communicate directly on sensor level. Sensor is able to tell us what the condition is of the sensor. But secondly, the most important part is that we are able to cost effectively reduce wiring as well as get more data from our sensors. And for the first time, we're able to look from the complete value chain within a production site of how we monitor batches and where the quality control is. And this is for the first time where we can have complete control over the process, just facing and looking at the data.
Yeah. So when we come to the topic of innovation and improvement, where do you get your ideas from and inspiration to further develop and strengthen the solutions that you can offer the industry?
Yeah, so I think once again, there's many platforms where this discussion is quite open on food safety. I think IFM is also collaborating with companies like EHEDG, which is leading the topic. And this gives us or provides us a platform where we can communicate with associations, but also with OEMs and end users. So we can brainstorm and look at what is the best case studies. And our job is then to make sure that these case studies are highlighted and best practices are implemented within the industry. We are fortunate here in IFM that our philosophy has always been close customer contact. With close customer contact, it means that we are able to share knowledge, know-how, and communicate directly with the end user. And this is why we're able to come up with better solutions, fit for the market, fit for food safety. And most importantly, we know that our customers can feel safe with IFM.
Yeah, perfect. Thank you so far, Johan. We will see us again later on this episode. But now let's take a closer look to the topic of product design. Because in the food sector in particularly, automation hardware not only has to function reliably, but also fulfill other requirements. What this means for product design is now revealed to us by someone who should know. I would now like to welcome Martin Schmidt. Schön, dass du da bist.
Danke, Philipp.
Ja, Martin, du bist Senior Industrial Designer bei IFM und verantwortlich für das industrielle Design. Was genau versteht man denn darunter?
Industrielles Design ist natürlich entsprechend das Design von Produkten, die industriell gefertigt werden. Meistens sind das Investitionsgüter.
Das heißt, ihr seid verantwortlich für sämtliche Hardwareprodukte, die bei IFM
Genau. Ja, unsere Abteilung ist dafür verantwortlich, entsprechend, dass die Usability eingehalten wird. Wir recherchieren entsprechend, gucken natürlich auch die formale Design, aber das ist auch kein Selbstläufer, sondern wir machen das entsprechend im Tandem mit dem Entwicklungsteam.
Ja, genau. Das wäre die Frage, wann und wie seid ihr in den Entwicklungsprozess von Produkten genau eingebunden? Wann werdet ihr dazugeholt oder seid ihr von Anfang an mit dabei?
Das ist immer unterschiedlich, je nachdem, wie das Projekt schon fortgeschritten ist. Aber laut Inno-Prozess haben wir fest definierte Stufen, wo wir entsprechend mit unserer Expertise das Team unterstützen.
Ja, das hast du gerade schon gesagt, industrielles Design und ihr müsst gucken, dass die Designformalitäten eingehalten werden. Wonach richtet sich die Entwicklung oder die Produktentwicklung von beispielsweise einem Sensor oder einem IO-Link Master? Worauf müsst ihr achten?
Also speziell wir vom Industriedesign, wir achten darauf, dass die Usability stimmt, beziehungsweise, dass wir uns nach dem Human-Centered Design-Prozess richten. Das heißt, wir gucken uns den Kontext ganz genau an, wo die Person mit welchen Problemen, in welchem Umfeld interagiert und darauf basierend geht dann unsere weitere Designentwicklung fort.
Wenn wir jetzt mal so die verschiedenen Industrien im Blick haben, gibt es da verschiedene Anforderungen, die ihr da berücksichtigen müsst, auch vielleicht speziell auf den Bereich Lebensmittelindustrie?
Also wir haben speziell die Anforderungen wie hier bei dem IO-Link Master. Ja. Man sieht ganz schön, dass wir zwei verschiedene Kontexte haben. Wir sind einmal im Food- and Beverage-Kontext unterwegs und einmal im industriellen Kontext. Generell ist es natürlich so, dass unsere Produkte in einem harschen Umgebungsfeld liegen und dann entsprechend dann auch verschmutzen. Ja. Das Entwicklungsteam und das Design war besonders wichtig, vor allem beim IO-Link Master, dass die entsprechend gute Reinigungseigenschaften haben, dass dann entsprechend, wenn man es mit Wasser abspült, dass es schön entsprechend der ganze Dreck entsprechend abläuft. Ja. Da haben wir natürlich auch hier eine Hinterspülung, das heißt, der Master hat dann auch noch entsprechend von der Rückseite hat er zwei Füßchen, dass euch auch auf der Rückseite nichts festsetzt.
Ja, jetzt hast du gerade schon gesagt, es sind zwei verschiedene Varianten des IO-Link Master. Welche Variante ist jetzt genau für welchen Bereich?
Also der graue richtet sich für Food and Beverage, dementsprechend, dass wir den Bezug zu anderen Food and Beverage Produkten herziehen, die halt in Edelstahl gefertigt werden. Sobald wir halt mit Kunststoff arbeiten müssen, verwenden wir dieses spezielle Food-Grau.
Ja, und abgespült werden können beide, das ist in allen Industrien wahrscheinlich wichtig, ne?
Genau, das sind in allen Industrien wichtig. Besonders wichtig ist es in der Lebensmittelindustrie, dass man den sogenannten Schwarzschimmel auch früh genug erkennen kann. Deswegen,
Vorsicht einmal. Ich glaube, jetzt wird es nass.
Okay. Deswegen eignet sich das auch entsprechend dann auf grauen Untergrund, weil man dann diesen gefürchteten Schwarzschimmel zum Beispiel auch früh genug detektieren kann.
Ja. Gibt es darüber hinaus noch bestimmte Anforderungen ans Design, gerade im Blick auf die Lebensmittelindustrie?
Ja, es ist natürlich nicht nur die Reinigbarkeit, sondern auch, dass es sich in den Kontext einschmiegt, sprich, dass es sich in diese ganze Anlage auch einfügt, dass man nicht diese bunten Flecken hat, dass der Nutzer halt entsprechend auch die Informationen richtig bekommt. Das heißt, wir legen immer einen großen Wert auf LED-Feedback, wenn wir zum Beispiel nur LED haben, oder konzentrieren uns dann natürlich auf Interaktion am Display.
Ja. Alles klar. Display LED ist ein gutes Stichwort, eine gute Überleitung. Jetzt zu Anuga FoodTech wurde der SM FoodMac neu gelauncht. Das ist der erste magnetisch-induktive Durchflusssensor für den Hygieneeinsatz bei IFM. Ist also im Grunde auch ein komplett neues Gerät, aber nicht das erste Gerät dieser Art auf dem Markt. Wie wichtig ist es dann zu gucken, was bieten bestehende Produkte auf dem Markt und wo kann man da vielleicht ein bisschen auch sich noch verbessern?
Ja, richtig. Wir gucken natürlich immer, das ganze Entwicklungsteam guckt aus seiner Brille auf den Wettbewerb und schaut, was wurde gut gemacht, was wurde nicht so gut gemacht. Und dann decken wir so natürlich neue Innovationen auf oder Entwicklungspotenziale. Und entsprechend schauen wir dann natürlich auch immer, was muss der Nutzer an welcher Stelle wissen.
Was war dann so die Erkenntnisse oder auch die Punkte, die ihr euch vorgenommen habt beim SM FoodMac? Da kann man nochmal Akzente setzen.
Besonders haben wir da einen Wert drauf gelegt, dass wir auch mal kompakter werden, dass wir ein schön großes Display haben, dass wir ein grafisches Display haben. Dabei dann kann man dann entsprechend mit einer geführten Installation den Inbetriebnahmemodus verschlanken. Das heißt, Zeit sparen und man kann natürlich direkt sofort sehen, wo und wann ein Fehler ist, auch auf dem Display oder mit dem LED-Ring.
Das ist gerade angesprochen. Wir sehen hier den FoodMac und wir sehen auch oben noch den TCC. Beide sehr gut erkennbar, auch aus der Ferne. Der TCC leuchtet uns hier schön an in grün. Was hat es mit dieser LED grundsätzlich auf sich? Also Erkennbarkeit von großer Entfernung, ist das wirklich ein relevanter Vorteil dann?
Das ist von Kunden zu Kunden abhängig, aber es ist bei vielen relevanter Vorteil. Viele Kunden möchten in sensiblen Prozessbereichen wissen, geht es dem Produkt da gut, also auch dann rückschließend dem Teilprozess. Und entsprechend sieht man über eine große grüne LED intuitiv, okay, das stimmt alles, das ist alles in Ordnung. Manche Kunden möchten das nicht, dass permanent eine grüne LED leuchtet. Die können natürlich entsprechend des LED-Parameters, können die das einstellen, dass die LED zum Beispiel aus ist. Das heißt, der Sensor, TCC, SM Foodmark oder sonstige, die melden sich nur, wenn sie was zu melden haben.
Ja.
Entsprechend, ob sie eine Wartung benötigen oder ob ein Fehler anliegt. Das heißt, es wäre blau und ein rotes Signal.
Jetzt ist der TCC schon ein bisschen länger auf dem Markt als der FoodMac. Habt ihr da Rückmeldungen tatsächlich auch schon bekommen aus der Praxis, dass der Kunde sagt, super Feature mit der LED?
Also viele Kunden lieben den TCC auch für die LED, weil sie auch vom Weiten, wie gesagt, sehen, ist da alles gut. Vor allem im Nachtschichtbereich, wenn die Anlage nicht komplett ausgeleuchtet ist, sehen sie schon da in der Ecke und in der Ecke, da ist alles in Ordnung. Oder sie sehen halt auch sofort entsprechend, wenn die rote LED einfach angeht, dann sehen sie auch, oh, da ist ein Fehler, da muss ich mal genau gucken, weil man jetzt nicht permanent vor dem Computer sitzt.
Ja, spart also Zeit und Wege.
Ja, genau.
Super. Ja, Martin, vielen Dank für den kurzen, aber sehr informativen Einblick ins Thema Industrial Design. Sehr spannend und ich denke mal, dass jetzt der ein oder andere Kunde vielleicht auch sich ein bisschen mehr gewahr wird, dass da doch ziemlich viel Gedanken drinstecken in jedem kleinen Detail.
Danke dir, Philipp. Danke.
Reliable processes are the prerequisite for the best possible quality. The Berchtesgadener Land Dairy relies on the TCC temperature sensor in its production for precisely this reason. But see for yourself.
Wir sind hier in der Molkerei Berchtesgadener Land in Pieding. Wir sind eine genossenschaftliche Molkerei. Das heißt, dieses Unternehmen gehört den Landwirten und Landwirtinnen, die die Milch liefern. Wir erfassen Milch von unseren landwirtschaftlichen Betrieben, die sich nördlich des Alpenhauptkamms befinden, zwischen Watzmann und Zugspitze. Von unseren Lieferanten bekommen wir ca. 300 Millionen Kilogramm Milch pro Jahr. Diese gesamte Milch verarbeiten wir hier an unserem einzigen Standort in Pieding und wir stellen daraus verschiedene Produkte her. Konsummilch, zum Beispiel auch die traditionell hergestellte Frischmilch in der Flasche. Wir stellen her Schlagrahm-Butter, Speisequark, Naturjoghurt, Kefir, Buttermilch. Für uns besonders wichtig ist die Qualität der Produkte. Qualität steht bei uns im Vordergrund. Wir versuchen, die Rohmilch möglichst schonend zu bearbeiten, sprich mit wenigen Prozessschritten möglichst hochwertige Produkte herzustellen.
Temperaturmessung wird im Lebensmittelbereich immer wichtiger. Hierfür hat die IFM-Elektronik einen Sensor entwickelt, bei welchem in der Spitze 2 Temperaturelemente verbaut sind, die über einen Mikrocontroller auf Drift überwacht werden, um hier maximale Sicherheit zu gewährleisten.
Also die Produktqualität spielt bei uns eine sehr große Rolle. Mittels der Temperatursensoren von IFM kann eine hohe Produktqualität gesichert werden. Die TCC-Sensoren verwenden wir zur Erfassung der Produkttemperatur, Reinigungstemperatur und Sterilisationstemperatur im laufenden Prozess. Wir haben uns für die Sensoren entschieden, da es natürlich preislich interessant war und auch die Lebensmittelfestigkeit für Lauge, Säure, Desinfektion. Da war die Haltbarkeit eigentlich unschlagbar und deswegen haben wir uns für die Komponenten da entschieden. Da wir in der Molkerei sehr viele große Ventilknoten im Hause haben, sind natürlich auch sehr viele Ventilrückmeldungen nötig. Da setzen wir auch die Rückmeldeinitiatoren in der Ventiltechnik von IFM ein und sind auch damit sehr zufrieden, weil die Haltbarkeit gut ist.
IFM ist ein wichtiger Partner. Die Zusammenarbeit besteht seit mehreren Jahrzehnten. Es ist eine sehr enge und partnerschaftliche Beziehung, die wir zu IFM unterhalten. Wir sind sehr zufrieden und wie gesagt, es ist ein wichtiger Baustein, auch um unser Ziel zu erreichen, qualitativ hochwertige Produkte herzustellen, die Prozessführung dementsprechend gestalten zu können. Das spricht für IFM und wir sind sehr zufrieden mit der Zusammenarbeit.
And we are back at the studio to talk about food safety, especially about the topic of design related to food safety. And I'm really happy to welcome 2 new guests in our studio. Hein Timmermann is here, president of the European Hygienic Engineering and Design Group. Thanks for being here today.
It's my pleasure to be here.
Thank you. And Dujan Kourou, technical product manager for instruments and sensors at Tetra Pak.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
It's my pleasure.
Thank you. And Johan van Niekerk is also here again, Senior Director, Global Food Industry Management, Food and Beverage at IFM.
Thank you.
Welcome, Johan, back. So, Hein, the EHEDG was founded in 1998 to support and shape the future of food safety and quality. So, you have the design in your name, but what exactly do you understand when we talk about design?
Well, as it in the name, hygienic design has already a pretty long history. We are 35 years old. Food safety has many prerequisites. The prerequisites is the personal behavior. It is food. It is cleaning and sanitation. It is the personnel. It is the equipment, and so on. Hygienic design, you really have to start looking in the views of a bacteria and viruses and even smaller molecules like DNA, because you need to prevent. Bacteria will hide in niches, crevices, cracks of your installation. So hygienic design is there to help in food safety to prevent these harboring areas. Harboring areas will see that bacteria can grow, proliferate, end up in the final food, and then cause contaminations and can be the real root cause for food recalls. And we've seen, everybody knows about the number of recalls, and it's even after 35 years of hygienic design, the recalls are still present. So hygienic design, although we say design is for the engineers, there are many inputs that can cause food safety. It starts with the building, the envelope, all the possible contamination vectors, the air, the utilities, the steam, the water. It starts with the equipment, building the equipment. Within the equipment, you have cleanability of the equipment. So it has to be perfect, no niches, no cracks, flush-mounted gaskets with the right food contact materials. And so then you start about cleaning, sanitation. How can I maintain it? And then you have the maintenance, how also the operators that do the maintenance, or the maintenance engineers, should understand hygienic design, should understand the impact of what they do on possible food safety contamination. So hygienic design is the most underestimated prerequisite in a total food safety management system.
Okay. Still underestimated?
Still underestimated, yes.
So when we talk about the real processes, also the sensors in the automation systems, is the design of these sensors and the automation systems, is it already mature here, or is there still potential to increase?
Good question. The design of the sensors is applying food safety criteria, is applying hygienic design criteria with the right elastomers and no niches, no crevices, no metal to metal contact, so we can assure cleanability. But in the evolution of sensors, the use of sensors, there is still a big opportunity. We need more data to understand, and the future is great. If you tie up sensors that are as fast as possible, that we can have information in split second, and we can put this data in the right algorithms, we can predict food safety incidents, and we can work about even self-adjusting systems if we can overcome the human validation. So there is, although the current catalog of sensors is already great, there is still a huge opening for innovations.
Yeah. Okay. So we come back to the hardware of sensors. You're certifying the sensors, and of course, during 35 years, you also improved your knowledge regarding food safety and what is needed, which materials are needed. Did the certification standards still raise, or are they now on the top level? So that you can say from the hygienic design, it's the best we can offer.
The value of a certified equipment is big, because an EH certificate is based on a real test, a challenge test, a comparable test, and we compare the cleanability. We really prove the cleanability of equipment. So it's a tick in the box for a total food safety management system. Is it absolute? Is it there? No. Food safety is an evolution. We don't have the same regulatory environment as 35 years ago. So a certificate that we given 30 years ago should not be there forever.
Yeah.
Because We have the upcoming issues of PFAS in elastomers. We should change the elastomers in installation. So we cannot certify next year a piece of equipment that has PFAS. So it's a continuous evolution. But we must prove and really guarantee that cleanability. So take away that sorrow from the end user. If I use certified equipment, my installation, at least I don't have to think about cleanability.
Okay. So who's driving this evolution? Is it users like or the OEMs like Tetra Pak, or is it the automation industry, or is it the end users?
Well, EHEC is not a governmental institute. It's a member organization. The OEMs like Tetra Pak are important members, but we also have the end users. We have universities in our group of members. And the working groups who define the standards is a democratic blend of the industry. So as well as the OEMs, who are the subject matter experts, as well as the end users, our customers are big food producers of this world. We all know them. They have an equal saying. As food producers, they can say, well, I would like to have this in the standard for acceptation because my experience proves it. So it is a real powerful and strong environment that defines as well the user requirement specifications as knowledge from the OEMs brings it together. So we have the best of all worlds in a democratic environment.
Perfect. So everyone's working.
Yes.
Yeah. Perfect. So Dijane, how important is design in your everyday work as a technical product manager?
Yeah, actually, Mr. Heinz' speech was pretty inspiring and motivating because it took me almost 70 years back, 1951, the timeline that Tetra Pak was established in Sweden and Lund. And I would like to also express my great appreciation to our founder, Dr. Ruben Rausing. And he had one mission in his mind, to deliver food safe and available everywhere. So that's Tetra Pak mission, and it's standing still in the company more than 70 years. It is same and higher important. We are working on the hygienic design as in our gene and in our code. So basically, when he identified the need in the industry for delivering food safe and available, so he defined also the food needs to be delivered more hygienically and more practically to whole supply chain. And the story began for Tetra Pak 70 years ago, maybe more than 70 years ago. And therefore, the hygienic design is key, and it is a success. It's a most critical ingredient of a success for Tetra Pak business, for both processing and the packaging solution. And as a technical product manager, I cannot really make a distinction or separate the hygienic design discussion during the product selection process for our both processing and the packaging solution. And not only as a technical product manager, I think as a father, as an ordinary individual, working on the hygienic design, working on something actually delivering food safe and available everywhere, protecting what's good as a Tetra Pak motto, and protecting food, planet, and people. I think it's pretty, we are serving a very good model and beautiful purposes. So I'm quite motivated and inspired.
Yeah, perfect. So you already mentioned you are choosing the right products for your plants. What are your requirements to find the right products? So what kind of factors do you think about when choosing the right products?
It's quite relevant question for the hygienic design as well, but we can approach the challenge here or question in a different perspective. There are increasing demands in the market on the performance level as well as on the automation level. I can say that there is a growing tendency in the market that our customer, they would like to protect their installed base as effective as possible. And because they would like to really reduce their downtimes and failures and breakdowns. And robustness of the sensor, it's playing very critical role. Of course, we are taking the hygienic design as granted. So it's not a disputable topic in Tetra Pak. And I can confidently say that every single individual in our company, they are dedicating themselves to deliver food safe and available. So therefore, hygienic design of the sensor is, as I said, it's taken as a granted, but the robustness of the sensor design is getting more and more important. And the other perspective when it comes to automation, specifically, which is relevant to today's topic, the seamless integration of the sensor also getting very, very important. So easy to commission, easy to operate, user friendliness, simple to use. So these are really, really key factors that we are looking after for the sensor selection process.
So when we talk about seamless integration and when we talk about efficiency, we can talk about IO-Link, which is easy to change the sensors, but it also delivers more than one value out of one sensor, so you can reduce the measuring points in the plants. And every measuring point, as we heard, there can be maybe a harbor for bacteria or something. How important for you is this digitalization, especially maybe with IO-Link, so reducing the measuring points in the plant by digitalization, by IO-Link? How important is it for you?
Yeah. Well, it's not really needed to say that the Tetra Pak is working on the automation and digitalization. So it's also a core value to provide an advanced solution for the automation as well. But I think that I can reverse the challenge of the question here to not reducing the measuring points, but utilizing the IO-Link or the digital system like IO-Link to get more data from the sensor and can maybe eradicate or completely reduce the food safety risk. So, because when we use the digital system like IO-Link, we can get more data. We can have a diagnostic information from the sensor. We can have sensor status information. We can have multiple process parameters that we can use in our control system in a much better and efficient way. So it will definitely reduce food safety risk. It's indisputable point. I think in Tetra Pak we have been actively working on the eliminating the conventional analog systems, and there's still a big potential. But I think the IO-Link will be playing very, very important role in the future to get more sensor data from the field level components and use them in the control system to be able to mitigate or completely eradicate the food safety risks.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah.
So Johan, we just heard about the new SM Food Mag. We talked about with our design specialists about it, and we heard about the demands for robust, seamless, integratable products for more food safety. How easy or how difficult is it to meet the demands and the future demands of the market when developing a new product and even to meet these demands with established products?
Yeah, thank you, Philip. I think it's a bit of a tricky question. Yeah. The reality is that there's quite a lot of guidelines. So in theory, if you follow the guidelines, you are 90% there.
Okay.
The reality is it depends on the type of company or the supplier. I think if it's part of your DNA, like IFM has designing hygienic design sensors part of their DNA for many years now, I think the process is a lot simpler. It's clear that we have to offer something to our customers, which we need to address one of their pain points, and this is a continuous pain point. But these are all the internal design and let's say the internal manufacturing part. I think the external part is the continuation, which was mentioned by Mr. Hein and by Mr. Duchani as well, is that we need to work still very closely with associations, with end users. We need to work closely with designers, because even though we have a solution in the market, the continuous discussion, the continuous evaluation is very, very important to make sure that you're on top of the game and always ahead instead of lagging.
And now we heard that Tetra Pak is really driving digitalization in the market. How do you see the situation? Does the industry has to be convinced about digitalization, or is everyone waiting for digitalized solutions and plans?
No, so it's this morning myself and Mr. Timmerman had a quick discussion regarding the food industry has always been seen as very conservative. And that is a fact. It's all about producing food, making money. But the reality is as well is that we've seen that the number of infection rates or people dying because of food not being produced safe has risen. And the question is, how do we solve the problem? And I think continuously working once again with end users, evaluating what the situation is quite important. But I think most importantly is how we make sure the customer wants to digitalize is in a conservative world, they will be convinced by use cases. And this is up to us, using platforms where we can talk about in magazines and educate the customer and say, this was a case study. This is how we solved the problem. And I think once we cross that bridge, customers are accepting digitalization quite fast. In reality, I see that for the last 4 years, digitalization is not a big question anymore from customers. They have certain targets they need to achieve. And by working closely together, that's the only way we can achieve it.
Maybe the last question to all. What development, maybe beside digitalization, or maybe even with digitalization, do you expect or do you hope for to come in the industry?
Can I just give a view? Okay, digitalization is great, and we know it's the future. We all feel it, and I think the three of us are on the same wavelength. But it's also part of the equation. We still build the system. We still have sensors in the housing, and there is a little elastomer. This elastomer will leak in a point of time, even if you have the best aseptic system built by Tetra Pak with all full warnings. When the gasket leaks, it requires maintenance, or it should have maintenance before it leaks. And the maintenance guys should be trained. You mentioned also training. Training is like the red thread through a whole food safety management system. Everybody who works in a food factory should be trained and understand, amongst others, hygienic design and food safety management systems. And this today, 2024, there are still big gaps, because people work very pragmatic and they want to produce and following traditional values. And we have new people starting, a new mechanical engineer that starts in IFM, or that starts in Tetra Pak, or that starts, they don't know what hygienic design means. They don't know the importance of microbiology, of allergens. So also they will need to be trained. Although they graduate from university, they need to be trained to understand the risks in the food safety management. So training and education, whatever form, e-learning, face-to-face training, is also a basic prerequisite that everybody needs training from the day you graduate until the day you retire.
Yeah. How do you expect the future?
Well, of course, I would like to reflect Mr. Hans' comments. In Tetra Pak, we have really comprehensive guidelines on the hygienic design, which we are strictly following. And we have dedicated teams and organizations that they are working on only food safety and hygienic design. We are also actively participating in the hygienic working groups in the EHEDG, in the 3A, and for other standards as well. But it's not good enough. So as he said, I think we need to really continuously educate people, give the trainings, and underline the importance of hygienic design. And finally, we need to link the hygienic design to the digitalization. And this is really important for sensor and instrument category, because we have tons of different measuring points and the typical dairy plant. And if we use more digital systems, then we will get more data. As I said in my previous speech, we will be eliminating a lot of food safety risk. I think it's extremely connected to each other, both food safety, hygienic design, and digitalization.
Yeah, maybe to add to that comment, I think this is the area where we are now. Coming back to the question you asked about digitalization, I think a lot of customers have started digitalizing. But the problem with digitalization is it's a big phrase.
Yes.
And that's the challenge we're facing now, is people are collecting data, but can they turn that data into valuable information? And this is the challenge I think we are now, the situation we are at now. And this is once again repeating what we're saying, but close collaboration when we talk about the design phase, but also on the equipment where the expertise are, joining then with the manufacturing of the automation supply sensor, the three combination working together, we can get valuable information to the customer and start eliminating or reducing these food safety incidences.
Okay, so when I get it right, digitalization is important, but to manage the data is important, education is important. So is education the key in the future to lower the food recalls? Is it that simple, maybe?
It's one of the crucial elements.
Yeah.
It's not the only one. If you don't know what you're doing, you can't do it right. So you need that basic understanding. And then, of course, you need to integrate all the sensor data into algorithms, integrate the knowledge we have. We need to involve quality assurance, because we want systems to take over human decisions, because the humans are responsible for the food safety quality. So keep working in an integrated way, but do not neglect training and education.
Okay, perfect.
Maybe
So,
just a comment on that. And I think this has been highlighted this morning is that training is important, the design is important, but food safety is not something that you wake up every morning and read a book and then you're done. It's a habit. It's something that's continuous in your brain that you have to be aware continuously. And this is why the importance of repetition is so important of the topic of food safety.
It's not, bugs don't read books.
That's good.
Perfect. Perfect ending. So, we are at the end of this episode. I hope you enjoyed it as much as I did. I want to thank you again for being here. Thank you, Mr.
Thank you very
Dujardin.
much. It was my pleasure.
Thank you. Thank you, Johan, as well.
Thank you.
And that's the end of this episode of Impulse. I hope you enjoyed it as much as I did. And I hope you will be back with us again for the next episode of Impulse. Until then, take care, stay healthy, and bye.